Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming along. I'll be talking about the novel The Trial by Franz Kafka and why it is an important example of modern literature. In addition, I will talk about where it fits into the Year 11 syllabus, how and why it's an important novel in developing student knowledge and skills, as well as relevant activities and assessments that will complement the unit. I think Kafka's The Trial is a worthy addition to the Year 11 Advanced English syllabus, and in this presentation, I would like to show you the reasons why. During this presentation, I kindly ask you to consider this book as an addition to the Year 11 Advanced syllabus. There will be time for questions at the end. For those of you who haven't read the novel, The Trial is a novel written by Franz Kafka between 1914 and 1915 and published posthumously in 1925. It tells the story of a man arrested and prosecuted by a remote, inaccessible authority, with the nature of his crime revealed neither to him nor to the reader. It is a struggle of one man's attempt to break the shackles of corruption, as well as his own unconscious battle to conquer the inner psyche and be authentic amidst a dreamlike landscape. Kafka has influenced such writers as Albert Camus, Jean-Paul Sartre, and Eugene Ionesco, and as well as the genre of existentialism, which is a major theme in this module and in the final assessment piece, and is crucial for students to understand and appreciate. The remaining narrative is a sort of judgment on all the decisions Kay's made. Although he is free for most of the novel, Kay's trial consumes all his time, and he is locked in a course of events over which he has little or no control. The trial is unique in that it gives the reader a special appreciation for the criminal justice system and the fundamental rights of life and liberty that we take for granted in a democracy. It's a meditation on the insanity of the bureaucratic system. The trial is a commentary on authoritarianism. On the surface, it's a meditation on how Europe was scarred from the police-state regimes in the early 20th century, as well as prophesizing it. On a deeper level, it looks at the question of human existence on Earth and the meaning and purpose of one's life. The book asks questions that students would find appealing, such as, why am I here? What does it mean to be human? And how should I live my life? In this unit, students examine how stories convey ideas, attitudes, and values. They look at how narrative shapes individuals and communities. Students will examine the text from the author's point of view, as well as the views of some of the other key characters. After reading the book and discussing it in class, students will have well-formed opinions and ideas that they can express and argue in the major writing task at the end of the unit. In addition, students will look at the author's use of language, how it is used for effect, as well as metaphor and black humor. As a result, students will be able to creatively express complex ideas in a greater number of ways by looking at themes from different perspectives. I suggest this novel for the Year 11 English Advanced course. In particular, Module A, Narratives that Shape Our World. Students would spend approximately 40 hours on this module. It would be a worthy text to study in Year 11 Advanced English because it presents a disturbingly alternative world ruled by oppression. It's thought-provoking in its uncomfortable presentation of a world stripped of civil liberties. It reflects social turmoils in Europe around the time of World War I. It explores the laws of culture and social norms. It scrutinizes the concept of democracy and the idea of keeping governments in check. It explores existentialism and the meaning of self. Students have a lot of material to explore in this book and can compare the society depicted in the trial with that of their own world. There is a lot of double meaning throughout the book, as the main character, Kay, battles influence and corruption, accepting the absurd, and trying to live life in a sea of contradiction. Students will enjoy the freedom of being able to interpret representations of fascism, the court, the free will of character K and why he was arrested, and what the main character himself represents. The text is regarded as quality literature and would give students greater cultural, social, and gender perspectives. The book is highly readable and will further students' enjoyment of reading challenging literature. The book is darkly humorous as well, because the character can never seem to find out what he's on trial for, and marvels at the absurd bureaucracy around him, the demands he's expected to abide by, and the secret decisions of which he is not informed. Much of the book seems plausible in today's world, how governments with no accountability can corrupt citizens under fear and secrecy. The book is a metaphor for a world in which we have lost all control of our lives and are at the mercy of powerful but unseen forces. Kafka read widely, and his knowledge of Czech, German, and Jewish literature was immense. Shakespeare, Dostoevsky, and Tolstoy featured prominently in his personal library. The beauty of this book is for students to not know the answer, but to ask the question. It contains themes and concepts that are relevant in today's world, such as the powerlessness of the individual versus anonymous social power, human relations, who am I, and how am I perceived in the eyes of others, alienation and control, futility and ambiguity, distraction. Students will explore evocative ideas, use language in new and creative ways, and explore the meanings conveyed in this text. Students will explore a range of perspectives, process these new viewpoints, as well as define their own meaning through their own interpretation of the novel. The book will cause students to reflect, consider, and also refine meaning through language. I have identified the following syllabus outcomes for this unit. Outcome 1 responds to, composes, and evaluates complex texts for understanding, interpretation, critical analysis, imaginative expression, and pleasure. Outcome 5 thinks imaginatively, creatively, interpretively, and critically to respond to, evaluate, and compose texts that synthesize complex information, ideas, and arguments. Outcome 7 evaluates the diverse ways text can represent personal and public worlds and recognizes how they are valued. Outcome 8 explains and evaluates cultural assumptions and values in texts and their effects on meaning. These outcomes give students room to interpret the novel in their own way and explain their ideas. It is hoped that formative assessment activities will allow the students to break down a complex novel and understand it before putting forth their own well-developed arguments. Through thorough analysis of the text, students can appreciate the world Kafka has created and how words alone created it. As part of understanding the novel, students will need to appreciate the culture of the times 100 years ago when Kafka lived in comparison to today's society, pointing out the differences and similarities. Students will look at ambiguity and how words estrange the character K from other people and the environment in which he lives. The following are teaching and learning strategies relevant to Module A, Narratives that Shape Our World, as part of the English Advanced Year 11 syllabus. Create well-structured lesson plans. Be clear on what you want your students to do. Give lots of examples. Ask questions to students to check for understanding. Give students plenty of practice time. Have non-linguistic representations. Create collaborative tasks to get students working in productive ways. Restate salient points in everyday vernacular. Have classroom debate and or mock courtroom. Get students to create personal assignment goals. Have literature circles around the room. Over the 12 weeks, it's important for the teacher to have an overarching goal of preparing the students for the summative assessment. Throughout the 12 weeks, students need time to ponder the main points and express in pairs and small groups what they think is happening in the story. The teacher needs to produce balanced lesson plans where students can express themselves in a way that goes beyond the use of words in activities such as non-linguistic representations. For example, students can use pictures, illustrations, and pictographs to show their personal understanding of the novel. The teacher can check students' understanding of the novel by giving them lots of talking time and providing feedback. For example, having whole class discussion immediately following small literature circles. It's important to appeal to kinesthetic learners by using drama and role play, giving students different lenses to look through. It's vital that the teacher has balanced activities in class to make reading the novel an enjoyable one. There will also be time set aside for students to practice pure paragraph writing, as well as what to include in introductions and conclusions. Students will know what their major task is, being an essay, and will be encouraged to start thinking about it halfway through the module. Also, it's important for the teacher to always provide feedback to the students. Here's my idea for a summative assessment based around Kafka's The Trial. I feel an essay is the best way for students to express themselves and show understanding of this darkly imaginative and complex novel. Students are welcome to negotiate with me or any other teacher an essay topic of their choice related to the novel. Or they can choose one of the following essay questions. Was there any way for Kay to avoid ending up facing execution in the quarry? How would you characterize the women of the trial? Do they seem like real people? What is Kay's guilt? Why does he consider himself guilty? How relevant is Kafka's story in the world today? Would you call Block the hero of the novel because he submits to fate and understands the system? What roles does the concept of futility play in the trial? And students are to include in their essay a creative title, an introduction with a thesis statement. So they need to tell me what, or any other teacher, what they're going to talk about and the argument they present. Also, it's important that they have a good knowledge of using the pill paragraph. So what is the pill paragraph? It's making a point, it's elaborating on that point, it's about giving examples, and then linking that point to the next paragraph. And also having a conclusion, which is summing up what they've said in the introduction. As part of formative assessment, a variety of methods will be used to gather and interpret information about student learning as learning is taking place. The following activities allow me to monitor student learning and adapt my teaching to meet Year 11 advanced students' needs. So let's have a look. Write, pair, share. Well, I can ask students a question related to a theme in the novel. They answer a question on their own, then share it with a partner before sharing it with the class. Creating sketchnote concept maps. This is to highlight the situations Kay finds himself in throughout different parts of the novel. Socratic seminars. Students pose questions to each other about essential topics from the novel. Big Ideas Twitter post. Students write a summary of the most important elements of the chapter in fewer than 280 words. Storyboard that, one of my favorites. Students can storyboard major events from the story so far using the program Storyboard That. And continuing, drama, students react a key scene from the book. That's always fun. Write a letter. Students write a letter home detailing events from Kay's perspective and the trouble he's in, how he feels, what the situation is from his point of view. A journal entry. Students write a journal entry based on the perspective of one of the characters. Could be Block, or it could be one of the women in the book. Pill paragraphing. Students learn how to write paragraphs using the pill paragraphing technique, which will serve them well for future studies, including Year 12. Quiz questions. Students write quiz questions to each other based on the book. And also debate. So students can create a debate in the classroom, arguing some of the themes in the book, whether they agree with those topics or not. So here are some of my references. I've borrowed a little bit from the Teacher's Choir, Teaching Strategies, the NSW Advanced Stage 6 syllabus, as well as Spark Notes. They help me formulate the essay questions. So please check that out if you wish to see more. So thank you all for your kind attention. The Trial is a thought-provoking novel full of rich ideas and themes that have remained modern. It is a disturbingly realistic alternative world that Kafka creates. It would be a worthy text to study in Year 11 Advanced English for the important and interesting concepts Kafka raises. It is important food for thought for young, inquiring minds in a time when critical thinking and reading between the lines is in short supply. It is an enjoyable, high-concept read by a master of the craft. I hope that as teachers, you see the potential this amazing novel has in challenging you as a teacher and giving students rich food for thought. It is a novel that will stay with them long after they graduate. Any questions? Any questions? Yes, Magda.
I read the trial and then thought it was quite difficult. Don't you think Year 11 students will have trouble with it?
Good question, Magda. I don't think so. I think they're in Year 11 Advanced English. They're good students. They've been put there. They want to be there. They love literature. They love reading books, and they read books in their free time. And they're always looking for a good, challenging read, something to think about it. So I think they'll be okay. And also, we will read it together, sometimes at home, but we'll talk about it in class, and learning will be scaffolded. So we will basically start small and work big. Any more questions? Yes, Anna.
Why did you choose an essay as the major assessment piece?
Well, I think an essay is the best way to express what they feel and think, especially with such a rich novel with so many ideas. They can just get it out. They have time to think about it, formulate their ideas, and really examine the themes on offer. So I think it's a classic medium, the essay, but also in this situation, it's the best way for them to just get their ideas on paper and also really think about what they've just read. Looking around, any more questions? Kelly. Hi, Kelly.
Hi. Aren't you worried that student might not be as passionate about the book as you, and perhaps lose interest? And don't you think existentialism is a little bit deep?
Well, good question, Kelly. Two questions there. Um, I don't think so. I think the book is a classic book. It's quality literature, and it hasn't been in the syllabus. And this is a wonderful opportunity to bring it into the syllabus. They will enjoy it on their own merits. They'll read it in their own time and in class, and they'll really appreciate and love the situation that the character K finds himself in, and the absurdity of his situation. So I think they'll really love it. And existentialism, no, I think it's a great word. They know about nihilism. They can learn a bit more about existentialism in this book, and it's a great uh, it's a great topic to further explore and take with them into year 12 and university, and it's just a great conversation piece for themselves with their family and friends and things like that. I may have to wrap it up, but any final questions from anyone? Yes, Janine. Hi.
How will you explain the book to parents?
Well, I don't think I really need to explain the book to parents. I think that parents will accept this choice. Some of them might have read it. Some of them might be really excited uh, for their children to be able to read this book and be guided by their teacher who's really passionate about it. Yeah, I don't foresee getting any phone calls about it. And if I do get a phone call, I'd be happy to talk about it with the parents and just explain that it's a great imaginative text and something that is really quite wonderful and in its concept, its high concept, and maybe I can get them to see it from my point of view. So no, I think the parents will be okay. We sometimes watch films in class that are much more disturbing, such as Gladiator or Mississippi Burning. So really, I don't think they'll have a problem with it. But really good question there, Janine, and I hope that answers your question. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're about to get cut off. Thanks very much for coming in, everyone, and I hope that you might like to use this book next semester to use in class. Thank you very much, and I will say good night. Thank you.